Clients, if you think that you're going to film yourself in the shower, don't. Hi, Dave. Thanks for
Hello.
joining the Cool Content Club.
No problem at all.
You want to introduce yourself to our adoring fans of Trillions?
A lot of pressure there. So my name's Dave Ellis. I'm a designer in the UK. I run a small two-man motion design business, which has been going for about 3 years now. It's called Everything's Fine. I've been working as a designer for, it's bad that I can't remember. It's like 25 years, something like that. It's quite a long time now.
What was the worst thing you ever had to do for a client?
Probably not the worst thing, but when I was a freelancer, so it's probably going back like 8 years, 9 years, something like that. I was a freelancer and I used to do really small gigs. So I'd be at one place one day. I could be at another place another day and another place the day after. So I arrive at one place and I'm like, right, what am I working on today? They gave me a brief and said, we're doing a pitch. This is the pitch document we've had through. It was a website. Off you go. We've only got one day that we can afford to kind of spend on this pitch. So do what you can. Off you go. So I did it. Yeah, all good. I kind of leave. I don't get involved in the actual pitching process at that point. Went to the next agency the next day. What am I doing today? Oh, we've got this pitch in. If you want to kind of work on this for us, because we can afford a day on this. Exact same pitch. So I pitched the same for the same project for two different clients. Neither of them won, which is really bad on my part. In fact, nobody won, which makes it feel a little bit better. And I had to go make it different as well. You can't make it the same.
Dave, what's content?
Oh, I saw a post the other day and somebody saying you're kind of devaluing any of your work by calling it content. Everybody always says, if you want to win and you want to be better than everybody else, just make great content. Just that easy. It's just so easy, just make great content. I don't even know the answer to this question anymore. It's everything and anything, and it's nothing as well. Content's too big of a term. Like it's had its day as a term. It's like saying what is stuff now.
Follow-up question: is this content?
Free bike, come to pick up. I don't know the condition. In my book, it is. I'm having it. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's good.
Do you have Craigslist out there in the UK?
If we do, it's not big. I know what it is, but yeah.
Yeah. I've started using the Craigslist free listings as my social media feed.
Oh, that's cool.
It's gotten really strange.
I do like the sort of misappropriation of platforms. I'm well behind that. I'm like, just don't do what normal people do on the platform and just do what you want to do there. It's quite good that. I like that. I've actually picked quite a boring one in some respects. I've picked something that my business does as well. This is an explainer animation by a company called Ordinary Folk for Twilio. And let's just get it on and let's
all right.
talk through it.
At Twilio, we're kind of obsessed with communication. Everything we do is to make it easier, simpler, better. But the best communication is much more than a single interaction. It's not just knowing.
Cool. Well, I love mixed media.
Yeah, so I picked one of the dullest potential products in the world. Consumer engagement platform. It's not the most exciting thing in the world. But yeah, the mixed media straight away is one of the things that I really like about it.
Yeah, this first pop of this ball right here was like, oh, yes.
It's great. Yeah, it's really good because, we've seen explainer animations for years that are all 2D, that are all kind of very flat vector colors and stuff like that. So anytime you just get that little pop, it's just like, oh, this is going somewhere else. This is going, this is pushing on, which is nice to see. It's just, there's so many reasons why this is good.
Well, I'm really glad that you brought in an explainer actually, because, we've talked about this before. There's just so many animated explainer videos out there that feel like they're just using the same After Effects file and they're just plugging in a new brand name. It's just so templated, so dull. And, there's a real storytelling opportunity here. If you can tell a compelling story that keeps me watching for almost 2 minutes of this dry customer data platform.
Product, no doubt.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. So yeah, talk us through why you think this is cool.
So let's just start with the pure production skills. It's just absolutely outstanding. It's just so unbelievably slick. Any piece of work that's gone out there into the real world, at some point, there's been that nightmare situation with a client where they've wanted to change stuff, or they've put their own feedback in and they've killed a brilliant idea that you had, or something that you'd spent half a day working on, and it's gone. And you kind of lose, amends from clients. They have an impact, they take a little bit of your soul, I think, every single time you get them. And, when you've gone through a few rounds, you lose a little bit of that desire. And you can't see that here. This just looks like a labor of pure love on someone's part or on a team's part. I love restricted color palettes, love them. Always love them. It works so well here. The mixed media.
Pro tip.
I mean, your eyes can look anywhere on the screen. There's always something to look at, something moving. It never stops. It's just the pizza. When the pizza comes in, I love it. When the table spins.
Oh yeah, the pizza was such a great moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gummy pizza.
Good. And then the table spins as well, which is, that table spin is done in
yes.
It's really slick, so slick that.
Yeah, and you know what strikes me about this too is, like you're talking about, there's always something to look at, but it's also, they've done a lot with not a lot on the screen. Like, look at this screen here.
Yeah.
White background, and even at its most busy, this is probably the most full, it's still pretty minimal. It's like basic lines with a little bit of texture, some basic shapes, but it feels so rich and so maximal.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. And I like the way it builds as well. Like, it starts out, you've just got you start out with little circles and a kind of like scratchy line drawn around them. It just builds really nicely as well.
So I have a question about client feedback while we're kind of looking at that here.
You're talking to a person that has just finished round 8 of some client feedback on a video literally yesterday. So you're going to get a raw answer from me here.
Client feedback is one of those inevitable things, right? Like, we're making something for someone. I wonder, like, if you have learned any sort of ways to make it less painful.
So I've been through, I think, 3 stages with dealing with feedback in my career. As a 20-year-old designer, so I was 20 when I first started, I hated it. I didn't react to it well at all. I was much more, in my eyes, an artist that you commissioned to do work and you got what you were given. And the only thing you were going to do is make it worse. That was my ethos back then. And then over time, I became a lot more sort of accepting of it. And I just started to let it go. Now, like, I have no problem with an amend where I can see what they're trying to achieve, and it will impact the final outcome of whatever it is we're doing. What I can't accept is, it's really bad that I'm saying this publicly, but whatever, this is me. Like, we're looking at the screen now. Could the hat be on a bit more of an angle? Like, I can't take feedback like that. I'm like, yeah, it could be, or it couldn't be, or there could be no hat. Like, who cares? It's not going to make any difference to anybody watching this ever. To pluck a percentage number out of my ass, because that's what everybody does with percentage numbers, 90% of all feedback is that. It doesn't have an impact, and it bothers me. So can I help people with feedback? No, I can't, because I'm in a really bad place with it.
I mean, something that I like to think about is this idea of the note behind the note, because usually the solution that they propose, like put the hat on an angle, is not actually the solution that will get what they're trying to do across.
I think it's better off when you say, okay, well, what are you trying to solve? Don't give me the solution. You tell me what problem we're trying to fix. And I think then you get to a better place where you're actually able to do something. They might say, we're worried that it just looks a little bit straight, or this girl doesn't look sort of happy enough, or something like that, or she looks a bit too, I don't know, a bit too rigid. Then you can kind of go, oh, sure, it might not be the hat. We might be able to do something else. We might be able to make her beam a little bit more of a smile, or something like that. Designers are solutions people. You're supposed to come up with a solution for problems.
Pro tip.
And that's when the client creative relationship is at its best, like when it's the most collaborative, when the client has their why, they know what they're trying to get across. and they've brought you on because they trust you to listen and interpret and give them something back that's sort of better than what they could have done themselves, or else they would have just done it themselves. They know that it's not working, but they don't know why, and they don't know how, and they're just like, I don't know, make the hat different. That'll fix it.
Yeah. It's that, isn't it? It's getting to the bottom of what are they trying to fix? Like, it isn't the hat.
Pro tip.
Everybody's human, you know. You get to a point where I like to think every designer sort of loves their work quite a lot, or loves doing the work, or the process of doing their work, and they enjoy it, and there's a little bit of heart and soul gone into every single thing. Doesn't even matter how commercial it is. One thing when I was a freelancer is I became really, really good at avoiding amends. I was almost like this super efficient designer. And if I thought anything was slightly, had the even slightest potential to trigger an amend, I wouldn't do the work. But in the end, over a period of time, that made me kind of a really weak designer.
Do you think that if you had taken more risks, you could have pushed your work further?
Definitely
Yeah.
could have pushed my work further.
Pro tip.
Short term, it would have probably cost me some money, but long term, I think I would have become a better designer for it. I mean, being a freelancer, it's really one of the things that happens to you is, I mean, I don't know if this has happened to you at any point, but you just always see time as money. Like, I'm going on holiday. Yeah, how much am I not making while I'm on holiday? And you just stop seeing time as time, and everything becomes financial, and it's not a great place to be.
I want to call back to something that you said earlier. Designers always putting a little bit of heart and soul into their work, even if it's like the most corporate thing. Stay out of the time is money mind and back more into the heart and soul mind. Maybe that's a better place to be. I don't know.
Pro tip.
What I really like about this is the way they've kind of framed it. When it comes to software, it's really easy to kind of end up talking about features and end up talking about what it does and stuff like that. But, you know, they've brought in a little piece here where it's talking about this guy, every Friday night he orders pizza. Yeah, they don't need to say that. They could have easily skipped that. They could have talked about the feature that they're talking about at that point, but it would have been far more boring just straight away. You know, I think adding some kind of real connection, some human connection is absolutely massive in this. More important probably in software than it is in most industries. Building that connection, I think.
Pro tip.
There are these little details that make these little characters really specific, actually. We've got the hijab on mom here, and we've got like the mushrooms on the pizza. It's like, you know what pizza, it's like they've got preferences. This person goes by they and has a dog. They're not trying to make these generic avatars of like everyone. They're giving them specific traits that a lot of people can relate to.
Pro tip.
It's just little things like that, isn't it? Just by putting the dog's not important, but does adding the dog do something? Does it connect that to people a little bit better? Yeah, it does.
We're gonna play a game. This is how many posts are tagged with the hashtag ad, which is like required for any sponsored content on Instagram.
Surprisingly low, I would say.
And they're not always easy to spot. Sometimes people don't use the hashtag ad, even though it is. So we're gonna play, is it an ad?
I'm gonna be so bad at this.
All right. Is this an ad?
No.
Let's swipe and see what the next slide is. It's an ad. They're selling this shirt.
Of course they are. Of course that was a t-shirt advert.
Do you think a human made this, or do you think this was algorithmically generated?
I'm gonna say the sad answer. I think a human made it.
This is a very strange. Like, why would you get this in black? First of all,
what is it? What's the product?
The t-shirt.
Yeah, but what is it saying? Driving my husband crazy, one chicken. What does that mean? Like, you like buying chicken? What is it?
Yep.
What, you like to buy chickens and own them?
Apparently, this married woman loves buying chickens.
A t-shirt with some gloves as well. I like that. I like the t-shirt and gloves.
Yeah, and the like generic
But you know what?
jeans.
What I like about this is, he said, you might look at this and go, this is not human generated, because like who'd wear a t-shirt, with some winter gloves. I can't. What is that? It's like a hot chocolate in the top left. Okay, so you got winter stuff basically, but then there's a t-shirt, which is weird. But I sometimes think like smart designers are doing this on purpose, right? They're doing this on purpose. They're sticking a t-shirt there, and people are going to go, "Why is there a t-shirt?" Comments going to come up. Why is there a t-shirt with some gloves? Like, I kind of think sometimes people are. This is intentional stuff,
You think they're trolling?
Yeah. They want the comments there.
All right, another chicken. This one's wearing these little boots.
Oh, always the chickens. I mean, the last one was for a t-shirt. I mean, this literally could be for a car for all I know, but I'm gonna say no again.
It's another shirt. Another different account, same background.
Oh, this is for the male. The wife had a t-shirt on the last one. Now the husband, just to boil those chickens.
Yep. They're just testing out different demos.
See, maybe those gloves are really good. Like if you need to pick a chicken up and you don't want to get your hands scratched. This could be it. And the jeans are pretty hard wearing as well. So
And after a long day of chicken wrangling, you just want to sit down next to the fire, have a cup of marshmallows. All right, last one. Is this an ad?
I like to stay consistent. So despite the fact that there's some sugar there and a chicken in like it is like a measuring spoon, isn't it? No, it's not an ad.
It's not an ad. It's just a chicken in a spoon.
I'd say slightly worse than average there, performance-wise.
It just goes to show, like, you can't trust anything on the internet anymore.
What would your horror story be?
Oh, my horror story. I don't know if I can post this on my LinkedIn. The weirdest job I ever did, I was right out of undergrad. Back before every third video on YouTube is somebody selling secrets to success, etc. And this person wanted to get in on that game early. And so he brought me on to like shoot and edit some videos of his tips for life. I was like 21, this 21-year-old woman with this like 60-year-old man. And he was like, yeah, I think one of my metaphors is it's about metrics, right? And it's about which metrics do you look at? So why don't we film me in the shower? And I'll be like, what's the order of things you do things in the shower? And I'm like,
yeah, this is getting weird already.
It's like, sir, I don't think I'm going to film you in the shower. It didn't occur to him that would be strange at all.
Oh, so it was legit then. It was because that to me doesn't sound that legitimate.
God bless him. I don't think he realized that was something you should not have.
Yeah, pretty inappropriate.
So yeah, clients, if you think that you're going to film yourself in the shower, don't.
Yours beats mine by a mile as well, by a mile.
I'm going to have to do some strategic privacy settings on this. This is my show and tell. I brought the artist Will Cobbing. He does these, ceramics performances, and I'm framing them as content because they're so Instagram, like it's almost like he makes them for Instagram. And I hope I'm not insulting the artist by saying that, but they're like viral sensations. It's like, look at the way they're shot. Like this is something that people are going to click on. What I like about these, why I think they're cool, is he's taken this sort of tried and true formula of that like thumb stopping, satisfying visual of something that's maybe a little banal, like paint.
Yep.
And he's expanded that into this new idea that's really uncomfortable, but also delightful.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's using the ASMR sounds, but it's like calming, but also really disconcerting. And it's like kind of giving it giving a little edge to this format that we are all, whether we want to be or not, familiar with. He's actually in there.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a sense of like, oh, is he going to be okay? Like, is he going to suffocate in there?
Yeah. So what I find really interesting about stuff like this, and I think there's a big difference huge difference. People have worked this out already that are watching this. There's a massive difference between me and you in that I am like hyper commercialized in everything that I do, to the point where it bugs me quite a lot actually. But like my brother, he was actually a year above me at art college. So he was 1 year above me at art college. He doesn't have anything to do with creativity whatsoever in his job. But when he's at home, he draws and he creates things and he makes stuff, right? I don't do that ever. Yep. Or if I do, there's a commercial reason why I'm doing it. I'm either learning a piece of software, I'm trying to establish a new technique. There's always a commercial focus to it. And it bugs me that I don't create non-commercial work. I can kind of forgive myself for it a little bit because I am making things all day, every day. I'm getting paid to do it. So the kind of fun aspect is gone. I've been doing it all day. It's nice to have something else. So I'm just hyper commercialized these days, and everything's always got some kind of value to it or whatever, like the worst person ever. But when I see work like this, I'm like, okay, right. So this guy's, whether he wanted to or not, he's gone viral for whatever reason. Somewhere there's another person doing a similar thing that hasn't gone viral, but he's just doing it because they like doing it. Yep, cool, all good, great. What next happens is someone like Pringles comes in, right, and just does it. Yep, and then starts feeding Pringles into one of the holes or something like that, and then it's kind of like ruined, isn't it? Because some ad person saw it on one of those feeds that you've seen and said, everybody loves this. If we get it out in the next 4 weeks and we attach it to Pringles, it'll do really well, because there's still a load of people that haven't seen it. And I hate to see that, to be honest.
Yeah, no, and I think that's such like the easy answer that when sometimes marketers see something like this exactly that's gone viral, they're like, oh, this is what people like right now, let's just do that, let's do exactly that, instead of drilling down into what makes people like this and how can we capture that, how can we harness that in our way, not just regurgitating somebody else's idea.
Pro tip.
People like this because it's unusual, it's suspenseful a little bit,
It's
also
weird
satisfying.
Yeah.
And it's also human, it's tactile, it uses all the senses. Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's like when the mouth sort of first spills the paint, it's like completely unexpected, but it's pretty funny as well. Oh, if you'd said to me, if you showed me this, right, and I didn't know anything about it, like I didn't, and you'd said, did this go viral? I'd have said no, almost certainly. I'd have said I don't think so. And like we're talking about that kind of drilling down into what makes it work. I mean, I've spent quite a big part of my career trying to come up with viral ideas and concepts for brands, and they nearly always fail. As sad as it is to say, nearly always fail, because it's so difficult. It's so difficult to get to grips with why something has worked or resonated. I mean, it could, in a lot of instances, it could just be time. It could be something to do with time and what's going on in the world at that moment. Perfect timing. Yeah. The fun isn't in paying whoever this is $10,000 to pop some Pringles in it.
Yeah.
The fun is trying to work out how you sort of capture people the same way this has captured people.
It goes back to something that you mentioned in your show and tell. It's a human connection, right? Like what's going to grab people is something that connects with them.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of different ways to do that. But the first thing that's going to turn people off is something that feels like it's trying to go viral.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pro tip.
That was that. And to be honest, for the first part of when I was I literally worked in viral marketing when probably around 2002, something like that. And I had a couple of successes and then an awful lot of flops after that. And I think part of that was intentionally, obviously trying to be viral. And people could sniff that out. Even then, in the kind of quite early days of the internet, people could sniff that. I mean, more so now. People are far more cynical now. The only thing I've learned about trying to go viral is I just can't predict it. Which is, I've always, anybody that comes to you and says, "Oh, I know, I've got the formula, I've worked the formula out," they haven't, because if they had, they wouldn't be telling you about it. They literally, they'd be keeping it locked up to themselves and knocking out hit after hit after hit. Like there's quite often, like, going viral, as great as it is, it might not necessarily get you the results that you want anyway. It's like there's no guarantee that it works like that. Like you can put out a piece of content, one person can like it, or one person can connect with you and reach out after that. I mean, literally, we had a new lead the other day, came in directly from LinkedIn, and they said, "Oh, we saw a piece of content of yours, and we were really interested in working with you after that." And I was thinking, right, hang on, what have been the bangers lately? Okay, we've had this one, and this one. They've all been bangers. One of those. What was it? No, it wasn't. It was something really old, not a particularly strong piece of content. And we're like that. We wanted to work with you after that. And I'm like, right. So yeah, I'm just looking at the numbers and thinking, right, from the numbers, it's obviously one of these things. It wasn't. It was something else further down the line. Didn't do well, but it did do well. The reality is I got a new lead from it this week. So it's, I mean, don't chase it. It's kind of pointless. It is kind of pointless. And really, from my own story, almost impossible to do as well. Almost impossible. I'm not chasing that anymore. Like, that's not what I'm doing these days. Like, I'm not about that anymore.
Well, that's a kind of freedom to let that go and just make the thing.
Yeah, I mean, this guy here, you don't make a giant clay head, fill it with paint sort of pits and slice bits off on camera because you think it's gonna go well on Instagram. I really, you just don't do it. On a slightly related story, I had a website about maybe like 10 years ago, and I built it quite well. I thought it was quite a nice website, and it got stolen a couple of times. People lifted the code. What they'd usually do is actually accidentally leave my Google Analytics tracking in, and I started tracking some pages that I didn't have on my site in Google Analytics. So I was like, I wonder what that is. So I kind of like searched for this page, and it was my site, and it had all these huge like sections for these images, and they were all replaced with what looked like chickens in a lot of distress.
Oh my
and it
gosh.
was all in it was all in German. So I never knew what it was about. Never knew why it had been cloned or why there were chickens in distress that had stolen my portfolio website. It did eventually get taken down, but yeah, that's my chicken connection for you.
Yeah, it's a chicken themed episode today.
I will talk about a project that we're doing, but I don't really want to plug it.
No plug zone.
At the moment, we are making a fake drone show. So it will never exist in real life. It will never be used by drones, but we have in the region of 400 drones in software assembling into various graphics in the sky that are being presented as though it was a real drone show. And actually, the biggest challenge on it hasn't been making it look good or anything like that, or making it seem real. The biggest challenge has been having 800 plus layers in After Effects and trying to actually get a machine that will work. But that's why I like my job, because, the prospect of, can you create as a fake drone show that will pass for real? Yeah, if you want to pay me to do that, yes, absolutely. Like, that's why I like my job.
Well, Dave, thanks so much for coming on the Cool Content Club, and I look forward to seeing more cool content from Everything's Fine.
Cool, thank you, and you too. I want to see more chicken. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the episodes as well.
They're gonna be good. All right.
Yeah.
Have a good
Good
one.
luck with the show. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye. Want to join the Cool Content Club? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Extra Crispy, 840 Broadway, 3rd floor, Brooklyn, New York, 11206, or just comment on this video. The Cool Content Club is filmed before a live studio audience. No animals were harmed in the making of this Zoom call.
But before you go, talk to me about the background, please.
Oh, yeah. These are hot wings. I just think that they are really beautiful. Like they're glistening, they've got the right amount of sauce.